Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Thank you for joining Health Coach for Women podcast. Today, I have a special guest here today, and her name is Coach Villa. I want to welcome her to the show. She is a mindful coach, and please, Villa, thank you so much for joining in. Please tell us about how. First of all, I'd like to know, how did you become a coach?
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. And if you don't mind, I just want to say how proud I am of you.
Oh, thank you.
Your podcast. You know, one of the things that women, we have to remember to give our sisters their crowns.
Yes, ma'am.
So the strength is that you and I don't know. We've never met in person, but I've been following you on Instagram and you've been following me, and I want to thank you because oftentimes people can say, well, I listened to your podcast. I was like, oh, she's so open-minded, partially because I knew that you're a Muslim and you just recently got married. But, I know that for African-American men, they can be very kind of controlling. This is a bad stereotype. And so I was worried. I thought, and yet you are blossoming and blooming. So kudos to your husband for being able to support you and stand with you. I'm just proud of you. I am proud of you. So thank you for letting me be a part of what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So how did I get?
So back to you. I want to know about you and your story. How did you get into coaching? I've read something before in the past, but I just want you to go ahead and let our audience know. First, what's your story? How did you become into getting involved in doing coaching? What prompted you into doing that to be able to start serving people now through mindfulness with your coaching?
Well, the thing is, I am a traditionally ordained minister. And so I've always had that desire to serve people, but I wasn't a good fit for the traditional church. But that sort of calling on my life to serve people, I had that when I was a kid. People would come, I knew all their problems, so it's always been my gifting. Right. And so I realized that, how can I serve people in a spiritual way? How can I serve people that will probably never step foot in a traditional church? Mm-hmm. And then I came upon mindfulness. So I was doing a lot of new thought work, which I still do. I'm a new thought minister. But I realized that one thing that people don't know how to do, which is to manage stress.
Yes.
People want to get rid of stress, but that's like saying, I'm going to get rid of worry. It's really worrying, stress, anger, fear, all of those are good emotions under the right circumstances.
Yes, I agree.
So when you're stressed out, instead of, saying, I'm going to avoid this by watching 45 episodes of some show on Netflix or, a gallon of Jack Daniels or, 5 pies, what is stressing me out? And then what tools do people have to deal with their stress? And so I thought that's how I want to serve people, give them the tools that they need and some strategies to deal with their stress, because it's just a part of everyday life.
It's a part of everyday life. So you'll never do away with it totally, because we know that life has its unexpected things, events that occur, and stress is just a part of it, but it's learning how to manage it and cope with the stress. That's the important piece. That is it. Yes. Okay, so tell me now. So I know you've been coaching for a while. What tips would you say, what advice would you give to people who are, right now is still a rough time, even though we have a new president-elect, it's still a hard time for people. Look, yay! Can't see us. We got our hands are going, whoop, whoop. So, but, it's with that being said, we're hopeful, I always try to keep an optimistic attitude about things, and we're hopeful for the future, for change. So, but what tips what could you share with people, that what things that they can do right now that would help them in managing their stress and worrying about tomorrow instead of focusing on the present, which I know is very difficult for people to do, right? So in my own program, I have people that reach out to me now, because they're on medication, right? And they want a way out. They want a way to be able to manage their stress without the pills. So what advice would you give to those people who are just really having a hard time and really want to get out of that slump that they're in? What advice would you give to them?
One of the things I would say is that one of the beauty of this pandemic, and people have lost their lives, so I'm in no way wanting to not honor that.
Right.
And people lost their lives, and I'm sending love and condolences to those families. Mm-hmm. But this pandemic taught us who am I without being able to go to sports or to the bar or to run away. It has made us take a look at ourselves. And it is the gift of this pandemic to finally say, what have I been running from? What am I trying to ignore? And so one of the very first thing you said it already, is to be present. You can't solve an issue if you don't look at it.
That's right.
So be present, stop being in the past and being in the future. One of my favorite quotes is, don't look behind you. You're not going that way. Now, that's easier said than done, but you have to be present. And there's an amazing uprising, for lack of a better word, in therapy, and I'm sure you know about this already, that's talking about ACE, adverse childhood experiences. Mm-hmm. That finally people are starting to say, some stuff happened to me when I was a kid, and I created these coping mechanisms, and so we've got to be present.
Yes.
And so when you're reacting to something, are you reacting to what's happening? Or are you reacting because you got a feeling that reminded you of something that happened in the past and you're not going to feel that way again? So therefore, right. You have someone that you said something and they came at you like a lion and you're like, what in the heck?
Right.
Because it might have, so let's get present.
Yeah.
And enjoy being in this moment. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be wonderful, but it is where you are. There are people who went to sleep with us last night that did not wake up with us today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
be present to the gift of this day. And then realize, I think part of the challenge, Marsha, is a lot of people think that mindfulness is some kind of weird new age stuff. Like, I'm not doing that. Right.
Right.
But if your mother or your grandmother, your aunt or a teacher told you the next time before you lose your temper, count to 10, that's mindfulness, because in that counting, you have to come into this moment.
Right.
Or you know what? Step outside and come back again, because you're changing, you're becoming present to where you are. So that is such an important thing to even deal with. If I go to the doctor and say, what's the matter with you? Go, I don't know. Well, how can they help me? Right. I have to be able to mm-hmm. explain I have pain or I feel sick when I do this. You have to be present. And so I'm hoping at the end, or you tell me, I want to teach everyone, it's an MBSR. It's a mindfulness-based stress reduction technique. It's so simple. It's called the body scan. And so I definitely want to be able to take everyone through that. You know about that already. Yes. But being present and then connecting to yourself. Mm-hmm. So many of us are disconnected from ourselves. And so
true.
Mindfulness gives you that chance to get in this moment and then use your breath to connect to yourself. Because there's only one person on this planet I have control over, and that's me.
That's right.
And so how I respond to things is under my control. And so by being connected to myself, I give myself then a chance to say, instead of being in a panic about this, let me look at this and say, this isn't really that awful. Or, wow, this is really awful. Let me ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Versus trying to react and things. So mindfulness is really just a beautiful gift of being present and connected. And many people don't know that mindfulness really sort of got its official start here in the U.S. with John Kabat-Zinn.
Yes.
What was happening was there were these doctors who couldn't understand why some of their patients were getting well and some were not. Same treatment, same illness, what's going on?
Mhm.
Because those patients that were present, that were connected, and had the thought, I can get better, were getting better.
Right. And I'm sure when he did, I don't know I know about what you're talking about, but Dr. John Zen, but I don't know the people that he used for the study, but I'm sure they were from different cultures,
Yes.
ethnicities and everything, because just like you made some very good points where I'm trying to absorb and remember all of the points that you said. So you made some good points. It's just like a study that they did one on gratitude. And some people did not have a religion. They didn't belong to any type of anything, but they showed you the people who practiced gratitude saw the benefits, actually went through the change by simply practicing gratitude. So that's a good thing that you mentioned about that and about being present. And it's so hard for people to be present when they're stuck in the past or when they're worrying about the future. Right. So, the past could be that hurt, that childhood trauma, right? Whatever they experienced, whatever it could be from the past. Right. And the present, worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, worrying about the finances, the relationship, or whatever it is that's causing the stress. And we have to work together. And another good point that you said, this is what I want to piggyback on. You mentioned something about asking for help. A lot of
Yeah.
times people are, what's the word I'm looking for, ashamed of asking for help, or have too much pride. They don't want to reach out for help. They feel like they can handle it on their own, or they don't want to be ridiculed. And so, when I was going through in my journey, when I was going through my own depression, no, I didn't let anybody in. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't seek help, from a professional or anything like that. I just tried to do it by myself on my own. But I'll tell you, one of the practices that I did, that's true, a few actually, but that I did that really helped me on my journey, was practicing the mindfulness, practicing the importance of the breath, right? And breathing exercises and using that mindfulness together, along with other things like meditation and yoga. And, because it helped me, it helped the body and it helped give you that clarity. That's what helped me on my journey. And it was so important that, by practicing that and doing that, how it really made a difference, and it was like, oh my gosh, is that it? Like, I mean, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was something that helped. And even with the pain that you have in your body, even the pain that you may get in your body, whether it's your lower back pain, things like that, I found that it was so helpful. So it's important. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's so important. And if people could just see, people have these things where they want to label it and call it maybe new age this or new age that, they're even practicing it in schools now. It's becoming something where to reduce test anxiety. They're using it in schools and elementary, the importance of mindfulness and how it is just so helpful. If you just use it, and if you just practice doing these things, you will see how much that it will help alleviate some of the things that we go through in our body, and as well as our mental state, and coming back to that self-awareness and self-reflection. So very good points. I was trying to remember everything you were saying. I said, I want to touch on all of that stuff all of the things you were mentioning, but yeah, very good. So my next question is so somebody who's listening right now, right? And they say, oh, okay, I want to, what can we do right now? Help me to read. I'm feeling some stress right now. I'm feeling, a little down right now. What suggestions or what techniques could you say, or what you can do for somebody right now who's listening?
Wow. So first of all, you also hit at a very important part on gratitude. So part of my work is that I incorporate different modalities into mindfulness. So you talked about gratitude and meditation. So I have what's called the game plan for mindful living. And game plan, or GAME, is an acronym for gratitude, affirmations, meditation, and exercise. And this is about physical exercise and then healthy boundaries. So if you're feeling down, one of the things I encourage everyone, get a piece of paper and just write 5 things that you're grateful for. Because once you start doing that, you'll go to 6, 7, 8. And one of the things that I know, like I was complaining one day because I had to unload the dishwasher again. And I was like, my wife ain't unloading my daughter. And I thought, really? You're in this gorgeous house. You are in good health. You got money in the bank. You got a closet full of clothes and wigs. And you're going to complain about having to unload the dishwasher again. Mm-hmm. So one way to reduce your stress is stop looking at the thing that's stressing you, which is lack or your uncertainty. And gratitude helps you be certain about what's true.
Right.
And then affirmations. And just Google positive affirmations, motivation affirmations, loving affirmations. Someone said, well, affirmations are magical. Reverend Michael Beckwith from Agape in LA said, affirmations open the door. And that's a quote is in my book. You have to open the door to reduce your stress. So affirm. Mm-hmm. Life is good and all is well. That is my basic affirmation. Life is good and all is well. Say, what about all our problems? Life is good and all is well. You begin to say that, we reap what we sow, and that comes from our mouths and from our actions. And so you begin to affirm, I'm whole, healthy, and perfect. Finances are flowing to me. Opportunities are coming to me. Speak what you want versus what you don't want.
Exactly.
And that's what affirmations can do. So those are two very simple things that you don't have to sit down and be still. Well, you do have to sit down and write. But again, what are you grateful for? Can you write 5 things? Can you begin to affirm what it is that you do want? Mm-hmm. And then secondly, meditation. Thirdly, and so people are like, meditation, do I have to burn incense and have, David Pramal playing in the background? And all those things are good. But meditation is about being present in the moment and just connecting to your breath. And so people say, I can't meditate because my mind just keeps running. Yes, when the day your mind stops running is the day you're going to be at the morgue, okay? So your mind is going to run. You don't have to stop your mind. You just have to pay attention to it.
Right.
So let it run. And then lastly, exercise. So one, moving the body. And I have been off my game for the last 2 weeks. And I have a woman she's my exercise accountability partner. So I finally reached out to her and said, listen, I'm going to put my big girl panties back on. I'm going to get back on track, but to move our bodies, even if you just like dancing or walking around your neighborhood, so much stress trapped in our bodies. And then exercise good boundaries. And women need to learn this word. No. Learn to say no.
Learn to say no. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's one of the hardest things that many of us have a hard time with, is saying no. And so you have to ask yourself, if it doesn't serve you, then your answer, it should be no. And sometimes, a lot of times, we don't pay attention to our intuition, right? When you ask the question and you're faced with a decision, that first thought, that first idea that come to us, that's usually the best choice.
Correct.
You really don't want to do something because you're not in that mindset. You're not in that frame of mind to do it. But you want to make the other person happy. Sometimes if the person is really respectful and care about you, they'll understand and say, hey, I won't be able to do it for you at this very moment. Unless it's something emergency, your mom has to go to the ER or something. That's something different. But if it's not something like detrimental, you have to be strong enough to say, you know what? I'd like to do that for you, but I'm just not able to do it at this time. Maybe at another time, or simply at the moment, no, I'm not able to do that for you. And you don't even have to give someone an explanation, a reason for why you can't do something. And I know that was always my thing. Like if I didn't do something, I felt like I had to give them a reason. I had to tell them a reason why I had to do something, or why I didn't. I don't have to give a reason, because when people would do it to me, they never gave me a reason. It was just, I couldn't do it. There was no reason. So I'm like, well, why am I feeling a way of feeling obligated and committed, and it's not being reciprocated back to me? So it's all about learning to put yourself first, and
Correct.
So it's so important. And another thing I wanted to ask you too, with the whole mindfulness, Now, we talked about the meditation and the breathing and all of that and focusing on the breath. What other things would you say is important in when it comes to mindfulness, and how can it get to a point where we can practice it daily? How often should someone practice, mindfulness? Tell us more about that.
Well, one of the things that I like about mindfulness, well, you and I, we meditate and we know how to be present, but have you ever gotten in your car, got to where you were going, and don't remember how you got there, right? Because you just, so one of the things you can do is to practice mindful driving. So where I live outside of Memphis. I'm originally from California, where everything is green and there's palm trees. Where here, when I drive now, I look. So look at how gorgeous this orange is. Oh, this yellow. I love these magenta trees. Be mindful of what is around you, because that's also another. And let me tell you, girl, these people here in Memphis, woo, they all need to learn how to drive again. So I'm not saying don't pay attention. But again, be mindful that that's a way to reduce stress. Instead of being in the car like, oh my God, these people know how to drive, I gotta get there. Be mindful. What is the music that you're listening to? Sing along to your song. Put you a playlist together and play your favorite music in the car. That way, where you're at, you're present and you're happy. You can do mindfulness by walking from your office to the elevator and look at what color is this person wearing? What is the color of the carpet at your office? Most people don't even know. Again, because so it's very simple. Mindfulness is being present. You can do it standing in line at the grocery store.
Right.
So it's I think one of the things is it's not a method or do it this time. Yes, if I don't do some kind of meditation or spiritual work every day, after about 2 or 3 days, people in my house are like, what is going on with you? Right. Have you trained? Have you been okay, go. We have a room, the room I'm in. We have a room set. They're like, we're going to lock you in there. Do not come out. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but mindfulness, the beauty of that is that being present can happen anywhere.
It can happen anywhere. Definitely. Yeah. And I like when you said that too. You're saying it can happen anywhere and you can practice and do it anywhere, like waiting on a line. Sometimes I can be a little impatient. And when I find myself getting there, right, when it's a long wait, when it's just this one little item, right? So when I find myself doing like, it's okay. Where am I going? I'm not going anywhere. It's okay. And so you bring it back. And so, I know for me, just because, we're coaches and we're doing things, doesn't mean that we're so perfect, right? That we never have moments where we don't feel stress or we don't feel a little upset about something, but we always tend to bring it back through mindfulness and being present and coming back. So that's what it's all about, and I want people that's listening to think that, no, it doesn't mean that you're never going to be upset or you're never going to, you're never going to have that moment of, you feeling happy or you have this happy-go-lucky spirit all the time. No, you're not always going to have that, but it's being aware and being present that helps you to come back to a place of harmony, right? To come back to that place of peace within yourself. So for me, one of the things that I enjoy and it really uplifts my spirit is going out in nature. Here in Cleveland, like, they're pretty much gone now, but as the fall came in and the colors of the leaves changing, right? All these various colors. I mean, the beauty in that alone, taking a walk in the park and seeing the beautiful, colorful trees. That's what it means to be present. You're not thinking about what's going on at home, at work, or wherever, all the other things that's going on. At that moment, be present. Look at the beauty in nature and seeing the trees, listening to the sound of the birds, even the wind, even the sound of the wind, the rustling of the leaves. I'm in the zone when I know people like, and that's why I think I had like 2 people ask me, and I said this on another podcast. They're like, you don't walk with a stick. You don't have a stick. I'm like, no, I don't, I'm not, first of all, I don't operate from fear. Right. And maybe that I just don't, and I don't think about oh, some wild rabbit coyote or wild rabbit dog is going to come out of the woods, and attack me, or some stranger, right? I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking,
Correct.
I'm here in this moment, embracing the air, the wind, the sound of the leaves, the beauty of the colors in the trees and the leaves, and that just wind just giving me that fresh air, and embracing the sunshine beaming on me, right? So that's where I'm at. I'm in the zone. So I'm not thinking about all those other things. And when you
And
can,
I want to interrupt you because a lot of people say, well, it sounds like the two of you are talking about escaping your problems. No, what we're saying is that in that zone,
right,
that's the clarity to solve your problem. That's where you get the direction. It's in that
yes,
quietness that you're like, oh, I forgot to do this. Or you know what, this is what I should have done. Or let me do this. It's in that clarity, in that
mhm,
quiet, in that connection. The answers come, the actions come, the direction comes. So it's not about escaping, but in the midst of being
right,
hectic, I can't see my reflection when water is boiling. The
right,
water has to be calm. And that's the same that, just like you said, in that
mhm,
calmness, answers come, directions
absolutely,
come, peace comes. Because sometimes I'm the agent of peace. I need to get
mhm,
peaceful and then go back in the situation from that peaceful, connected energy and able to transform the situation. So this isn't
exactly,
about escaping, it's about connecting with
exactly.
everything.
Exactly. And that's a very good point. And and somebody may say, just like you said, escaping. Well, if you wanted to call it escaping, right? Wouldn't you rather escape that way, in a natural way, rather than doing something that's probably harmful to your health, like drinking
True, true,
alcohol, right? Or,
true, true.
doing something like that. So you have to look at it. Okay, if that's your way of escaping, if that's a good thing. That's a good
True,
thing.
true.
That's a
That's
good
very
habit,
true.
because you're not going to find it in a bottle. The bottle is temporary. You have people that's drinking more now, and just going through a lot of different things.
Oh,
So
yeah. Let's talk for a quick
yeah,
minute about how the pandemic calls to the suicide hotline are increasing, calls for mental health are increasing.
hmm,
People are gaining weight,
yeah,
domestic violence. They were like, because whoever was the
definitely.
violent person would at least leave the house. Now they're all in the house with them. So these tools help you where you're at
It helps.
do that. So yes, if everyone's escaping and eating a gallon of ice cream and a bottle of, Jim Beam and, or whatever, those
Right.
things, your body's going to pay the price for that. And all those things in moderation are fine as far as I'm concerned. But if you can
Hmm.
take that time to say, what is my part to play in this? How
Right.
can I be in the resolution? And again, that has to happen in quietness and
Right.
connection.
It does. It does. And that's where that whole, the stillness, self-reflection, answers will come to you. Believe it or not, the answers will come to you for
It,
sure.
it does. It does. I
Yeah.
cannot stress that enough. You and I both have experienced that in the
Mhm.
midst of that, walking, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is how this gets fixed.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's so funny you say that, because I had posted this was a while ago, maybe about a year ago. I mentioned something. I did a post on something on Facebook, and it was about, again, went back to saying gratitude and thank you or whatever. And then a woman commented and said, oh, is that it? Is that how that works? Yes, that is how that works. That is how
There
that
is an amazing study done with
works.
veterans who have PTSD. So these are people who put their lives on the line for you and me and everyone else
Hmm.
and have some horrible traumatic things happen. And they
Yes.
come back home and they're not 100%. And so they were given a gratitude that when they felt that stress coming upon them, to have a gratitude action. There were things they were supposed to do. Well, at the end of that test, that period, they could actually do tests to show the reduction in their stress. I
Wow.
mean, this
Amazing.
isn't just again this is science in some ways trying to disprove this.
Right.
They're proving it over and over again.
Yes, yes. And I know it works, I know it works because I've done it. So, it's not like, we're here just talking about something we haven't done and implemented ourselves. We've actually done it. I know for me, I mean, I've seen the results, and actually seen my growth as well, like, wow, I remember when, and now I'm here. So you can go back and you can self-reflect and see where you were and where you are now, and say, Wow, it does work and it does make a difference, and it's not about getting things perfect and having everything all, it has to be this way or that way. It just comes gradually. It's a process and you just do it over time. And it's about being better, not being perfect.
Indeed. I mean, you and I are living our best lives at this point, but there was a time we weren't at that place and we had to do something different. And we had to be consistent and we had to keep going. And now here we are. So we are continuing to sow those seeds. So yes, it doesn't happen overnight.
That's right.
But it happens.
But it happens. It does. It truly happens. I thank you so much. And so in closing out, tell us, what do you have for our listeners that's maybe listening right now? What do you have, special projects or things that you have coming up that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I'm getting ready so I'll be honest, I'm really not fond of having to consistently be posting on Instagram and because I'm a talker. So I'm getting ready to take both of my coaching business and then my spiritual, my Manasa business. People don't know I do tarot and oracle cards. Like, how can you do both of those? Because it's the same gift, being connected to the spirit. I'm getting ready to take those to YouTube.
Okay.
So I'll be broadcasting, and probably like you, I used to have a podcast years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do those things. But can we end, or is there time to do the quick body scan?
Oh, that's what I want our listeners to get, a body scan. Great.
All right.
Definitely do that.
And so, so January, in 2021, I will be doing more things because my voice is my gift and I'm going to be using that more.
Yes.
Doing things. All right, so let's end with a body scan. So I'm just going to ask, wherever you're seating, or if you have an opportunity to play this podcast again, knowing that at the end, we're going to do this, just to find a place where you're sitting. And then just be present to where you are. Feel your behind in your chair, your back against the seat, or if you're laying down, just feel where you are. Just feel where you are. And then I'm going to invite you to take a couple breaths where we're going to do yogic breath, not Hollywood breath, where you're sucking in. You're going to inhale and let your stomach fill up, and then exhale with the and just push all that air out of your lungs as possible. Our lungs, this wonderful yogi lady said our lungs have the capacity for 6 liters of air. So think like 3 2-liter drinks worth of air. And most of us only use half a liter. So let's fill those gorgeous lungs up. And then while you're in that place, I'm going to invite you to wiggle your toes, move your feet, wiggle your hands so that, again, you're present in your body. And I'm just going to invite you to bring your attention to your toes, the bottom of your feet, the arch, the heel, the top of your feet. Bring your attention to your ankles, then your bottom leg, which is your shin, your calf. Bring your attention to your knees, and then your thighs, those big, gorgeous 4 big muscles, the quadriceps, and all the hard work they do. And bring your attention to your bottom as it is sitting in the chair. And then just really about the trunk of your body, all those organs that work for us that we do not see, but are so grateful for, that they work without any instructions from us. Our intestines and colon and stomach and kidneys and spleen, our lungs, our heart, just from our stomach to our chest to our shoulders. And if you're holding any stress there, I invite you to just lift your shoulders up to your ears and let them drop. Bring your attention down to your fingers, top of your hand, the palm of your hand, your wrist, your lower arm, your elbows, your upper arm back to your shoulders. Don't forget your back with your pelvic and your spine, the back of your neck, and then your throat. Our head, bring that jawline. And if you have any tension there, you can just open your mouth and close it again. Your lips, your nose, your eyes, your eyebrows, your forehead, and the top of your head. And then let's just run through our energy meridians, which is our chakra system, our root chakra, which is at the bottom of our tailbone, sacral chakra beneath our belly button, solar plexus chakra above our belly button, heart chakra, a beautiful heart chakra in the middle of our chest, throat chakra, third eye chakra between our eyebrows, and our crown chakra. And the breath in and out. And that is a simple meditation that you can do. You don't have to have all the technicalities. You can just say, I'm present to my feet, my legs, my knees, my thighs, my body, my head. Breathe in and out, and you have covered that.
And now I'm relaxed.
I know. I love the body.
I'm relaxed. I'm like,
don't forget you got to end the show now.
yeah, it really is so helpful, and so I'm hoping that somebody, at least someone, benefited from it. Listen, if no one else did, I know I did.
I didn't need to.
So thank you so much, Coach Villa. It was a pleasure having you on. I thank you so much. And please, any new projects you're doing, I know we follow each other on Instagram. I'll be looking out for it. Oh, wait a minute. You didn't tell us about the book.
So I have a mindfulness book that's called The 30-Day Journey Towards Transformation. So You can get it as a book. You can get it on Kindle. I have it as an audio book. And all those things are on Amazon.
Okay, it's on Amazon. Okay, great. And we'll post that as well. Make sure we have the name of the book and everything. So thank you so much. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And I know you're relaxed. I'm relaxed. So we should have a beautiful, peaceful day for the rest of the day. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, darling. My pleasure. I wish you more and more success.
Thank you. And to you as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.